why I'm sitting on this chair.
Do you understand? Okay. You don't want to wouldn't stand now.
Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya, Jai Nityananda,
Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya, Jai Nityananda.
Jai Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda,
Jai Advaita Chandra Jaya Guru Bhakti.
Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya, Jai Nityananda,
Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya, Jai
Jai Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda.
Jai Advaita Chandra Jaya.
So we're now reading from Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila 17, text 120. The Lord travels to Vrindavan. This Chaitanya is a sannyasi in name only. Actually, he's a first-class magician. In any case, his sentimentalism cannot be very much in demand here in Kashi. Do not go to see Chaitanya. Just continue hearing Vedanta. If you associate with upstarts, you'll be lost in this world and in the next. The word uchkrinikala, meaning whimsical, is significant in this verse. In Bhagavad Gita 16:23, Lord Krishna himself says, "The Shastra vidim ushrujava tate kamakanta, nasadam apanoti nasukam naparam gatim." If one acts whimsically and does not follow the Shastric principles, he will never attain perfection, happiness, or spiritual world. When the Brahmin heard Prakashananda Saraswati speak like this about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he became very much grief-stricken. Chanting the holy name of Krishna, he immediately left. The mind of the Brahmin was already purified by his seeing the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He therefore went to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and described what had taken place before the Mayavadi sannyasi Prakashananda Saraswati. Hearing this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu mildly smiled. The Brahmin then spoke again to the Lord. The Brahmin said, "As soon as I uttered your name before him, he immediately confirmed the fact that he knew your name. While finding fault with you, he uttered your name 3 times, saying Chaitanya, Chaitanya, Chaitanya. Although he spoke your name 3 times, he did not utter the name Krishna. Because he uttered your name in contempt, I was very much aggrieved." Purport. Prakashananda Saraswati vilified and blasphemed Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Words like Brahma, Chaitanya, Atma, Paramatma, Jagadish, Ishvara, Vira, Vibhu, Bhuma, Vishvarup, and Vyapaka all directly indicate Krishna. However, the chanter of these names is not actually attracted to the Supreme Person of Godhead Krishna and his transcendental pastimes. One may get a little light from these names, but one cannot understand that the holy name of the Lord is identical with the Lord. One considers the Lord's names material due to a purpose of knowledge. Mayavadi philosophers and the Panchopashakas cannot in the least understand the existence of the spiritual world and the blissful variegatedness there. They cannot understand the absolute truth and its spiritual varieties, name, form, qualities, and pastimes. Consequently, they conclude that Krishna's transcendental activities are Maya. To avoid this misconception, one has to directly cultivate knowledge about the holy name of the Lord. Mayavadi philosophers do not know this fact, and therefore they commit great offenses. One should not hear anything about Krishna or devotional service from the mouths of Mayavadi impersonalists. Why could Prakashananda not utter the names Krishna and Hari? He chanted the name Chaitanya thrice. As far as I am concerned, simply by seeing you, I am moved to chant the holy names Krishna and Hari. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied, "The Mayavadi impersonalists are great offenders unto Lord Krishna. Therefore, they simply uttered the words Brahman, Atma, and Chaitanya. Because they are offenders unto Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is identical with his holy name, the holy name Krishna does not manifest in their mouths. The Lord's holy name, his form, and his personality are all one and the same. There is no difference between them. Since all of them are absolute, they are all transcendentally blissful. There is no difference between Krishna's body and himself, or between his name and himself. But as far as the conditioned soul is concerned, one's name is different from one's body and one's original form, and so on. Purport. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was here on pointing to the Brahman that Mayavadi philosophers cannot understand that the living entity is equal in quality with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because they do not accept this, they think that the living entity has been falsely divided from the original Brahman due to being conditioned by Maya. Mayavadis believe that the absolute truth is ultimately impersonal. When an incarnation of God, or God himself, comes, they think he is covered by Maya. In other words, Mayavadi impersonalists think that the Lord's form is also a product of this material world. Due to a poor fund of knowledge, they cannot understand that Krishna has no body separate from himself. His body and himself are both the same absolute truth. Not having perfect knowledge of Krishna, such impersonalists certainly commit offences at his lotus feet. Therefore, they do not utter Krishna, the original name of the absolute truth. In their impersonal way, they utter the name of impersonal Brahman, spirit soul, etc. In other words, they indulge in indirect indications of the absolute truth. Even if they happen to utter the names Govinda, Krishna, or Madhava, they still cannot understand that these names are as good as Govinda, Krishna, or Madhava, the person. Because they are ultimately impersonalists, their uttering the personal name has no potency. Actually, they do not believe in Krishna, who consider all these names to be material vibrations. Not being able to appreciate the holy name of the Lord, they simply utter indirect names like Brahman, Atma, and Chaitanya. It is a fact, however, that the name of Krishna and Krishna, the person, are both spiritual. Everything about Krishna is transcendental, blissful, and objective. For a conditioned soul, the body is different from the soul, and the name given by the Father is also different from the soul. The conditioned living entity's identification with material objects keeps him from attaining his actual position. Although he is an eternal servant of Krishna, he acts differently. The Swarup, or actual identification of the living entity, is described by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as Jivara Swarup, Hai, Krishna and Nityadas. The conditioned soul has forgotten the real activities of his original position. However, this is not the case with Krishna. Krishna's name and his person are identical. There is no such thing as Maya Krishna, because Krishna is not a product of the material creation. There is no difference between Krishna's body and his soul. Krishna is simultaneously both soul and body. The distinction between body and soul applies to conditioned souls. The body of the conditioned soul is different from the soul, and the conditioned soul's name is different from his body. One may be named Mr. John, but if we call for Mr. John may never actually appear. However, if we utter the holy name of Krishna, Krishna is immediately present on our tongue. In the Padma Purana, Krishna says, Yatra Gayanti Mad Bhakta Tatra Tishtami Narada. O Narada, I am present wherever my devotees are chanting. When the devotees chant the holy name of Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Lord Krishna is immediately present. The holy name of Krishna is transcendently blissful. It bestows all spiritual benedictions, for it is Krishna himself, the reservoir of all pleasure. Krishna's name is complete, and it is the form of all transcendental mellows. It is not a material name under any condition, and it is no less powerful than Krishna himself. Since Krishna's name is not contaminated by the material qualities, there is no question of its being involved with Maya. Krishna's name is always liberated and spiritual. It is never conditioned by the laws of material nature. This is because the name of Krishna and Krishna himself are identical. This is a quotation from the Padma Purana. The holy name of Krishna, his body, and his pastimes cannot be understood by the blunt material senses. They are manifested independently. Purport. Since Krishna's transcendental body, name, form, qualities, pastimes, and entourage are all the absolute truth, they are as good as Krishna himself. Sat Chit Ananda Vigraha. As long as the living entity is conditioned by the three modes of material nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance, the objects of his material senses, material form, taste, smell, sound, and touch, will not help him understand spiritual knowledge and bliss. Rather, these are revealed to the pure devotee. One's material name, form, and qualities are certainly different from one another. In the material world, there is no conception of absolute. However, when we come to Krishna consciousness, we find that there is no material difference between Krishna's body and his name, activities, and entourage. Krishna's holy name, transcendental qualities, and transcendental pastimes are all equal to Lord Krishna himself. They are all spiritual and full of bliss. Therefore, material senses cannot appreciate Krishna's holy name, form, qualities, and pastimes. When a conditioned soul is awakened to Krishna consciousness and renders service by using his tongue to chant the Lord's holy name and taste the remnants of the Lord's food, the tongue is purified, and one gradually comes to understand who Krishna really is. This verse is recorded in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. The mellows of Lord Krishna's pastimes, which are full of bliss, attract the jnani from the pleasure of Brahman realization and conquer him. Purport. When one understands that he belongs not to the material world, but to the spiritual world, one is called liberated. Being situated in the spiritual world is certainly pleasurable. But those who realize the transcendental name, form, qualities, and pastimes of Lord Krishna enjoy transcendental bliss many times more than one who has simply realized the self. When one is situated on the platform of self-realization, he can certainly be easily attracted by Krishna and become a servant of the Lord. This is explained in Bhagavad Gita 18:54. Brahma Bhuta Prasanatma Nasochatina Kanchiti Samatsarveshu Bhuteshu Madhvatim Navate Param. One who is thus transcendently situated at once realizes the Supreme Brahman and becomes fully joyful. He never laments or desires to have anything. He is equally disposed to every living entity. In that state, he attains pure devotional service unto me. When one becomes spiritually realized, Brahma-bhuta, he becomes happy, Prasanatma, for he has relieved from material conceptions. One who has attained this platform is not agitated by material action and reaction. He sees everyone on the platform as spirit soul, Pandita Sarmadarshina. When one is completely realized, he can rise to the platform of pure devotional service, Mad Bhaktim Labate Param. When one comes to the platform of bhakti, devotional service, he automatically realizes who Krishna is. As the Lord says in Bhagavad Gita 18:55, Bhaktyamam Abhijanati Yavanyas Tasmi Tatpataha Tatamam Tatpato Gnatara Vishate Tat Anantaram. One can understand me as I am, as the Supreme Person of Godhead, only by devotional service. And when one is in full consciousness of me, by such devotion, he can enter into the kingdom of God. It is only on the platform of bhakti that one can understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, and his transcendental name, form, qualities, pastimes, and entourage. Being thus qualified spiritually, one is allowed to enter the spiritual kingdom of God and return home back to Godhead. Vishate tat anantaram. Let me offer my respectful obeisance unto my spiritual master, the son of Vyasadeva, Shukadeva Goswami. It is he who defeats all inauspicious things within this universe. Although in the beginning he was absorbed in the happiness of Brahman realization and was living in a secluded place, giving up all other types of consciousness, he became attracted by the most melodious pastimes of Lord Sri Krishna. He therefore mercifully spoke the supreme Purana, known as Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the bright light of the absolute truth and which describes the activities of Lord Krishna. This verse was spoken by Sutta Goswami in Srimad Bhagavatam, 12th canto. The transcendental qualities of Sri Krishna are completely blissful and relishable. Consequently, Lord Krishna's qualities attract even the minds of self-realized persons from the bliss of self-realization. That's interesting. Those who are self-satisfied and unattracted by external material desires are also attracted to the loving service of Sri Krishna, whose qualities are transcendental and whose activities are wonderful. Hari, the personality of Godhead, is called Krishna because he has such transcendently attractive features. Apart from the pastimes of Lord Krishna, when tulsi leaves are offered at the lotus feet of Sri Krishna, even the aroma of the leaves attracts the minds of self-realized persons. When the breeze carrying the aroma of tulsi leaves and saffron from the lotus feet of the lotus-eyed personality of Godhead entered through the nostrils into the hearts of those sages, the Kumaras, they experienced a change in both body and mind, even though they were attached to the impersonal Brahman understanding. Purport. This is a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto. Vidura and Maitreya discussed the pregnancy of Diti. Diti's pregnancy caused the demigods to be very much afraid, and the demigods went to see Lord Brahma. Lord Brahma explained the original incident involving the cursing of Jai and Vijay by the Chaturhansa Kumaras. Once the Chaturhansa Kumaras went to Vaikuntha to visit Narayan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but they were stopped from entering the palace at the 7th gate by two doorkeepers named Jai and Vijay. Due to their jealousy, Jai and Vijay would not allow the Kumaras entry, and consequently the Kumaras became angry and cursed Jai and Vijay, condemning them to take birth in a family of Asuras in the material world. The omniscient personality of Godhead could immediately understand the incident, and he came with his eternal consort, the goddess of fortune. The Chaturhansa, the Chatusana Kumaras, immediately offered their obeisances unto the Lord. Simply by seeing the Lord and smelling the aroma of tulsi and saffron from his lotus feet, the Kumaras became devotees and abandoned their long cherished impersonalism. Thus the 4 Kumaras were turned into Vaishnavas simply by smelling the aromatic tulsi mixed with saffron. Those who are actually on the platform of Brahman realization and who have not offended the lotus feet of Krishna can immediately become Vaishnavas simply by smelling the aroma of the Lord's lotus feet. But those who are offenders or demons are never attracted to the Lord's personal feature, even though they may visit the Lord's temple many times. In Vrindavan, we have seen many Mayavadi sannyasis who do not even come to the temple of Govindaji, Gopinath, or Madan Mohan, because they think that such temples are Maya. Therefore, they are called Mayavadis. Sri Krishna and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu therefore said that the Mayavadis are the greatest offenders. Because the Mayavadis are great offenders and atheistic philosophers, the holy name of Krishna does not come from their mouths. Purport. Because they are constantly blaspheming the Supreme Personality of Godhead by saying that he has no head, hands, or legs, Mayavadi philosophers remain offenders for many, many births, even though they have partially realized Brahman. However, if such impersonalists are not offenders at the lotus feet of the Lord, they immediately become devotees in the association of a devotee. In other words, if an impersonalist is not an offender, he can become a devotee if he gets a chance to associate with other devotees. If he is an offender, he cannot be converted even by the association of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very much afraid of this Mayavadi offender. Therefore, he spoke as follows. If I have come here to sell my emotional, ecstatic sentiments in the city of Kashi, but I cannot find any customers, if they are not sold, I must take them back home. I have brought a heavy load to sell in the city. To take it back again is a very difficult job. Therefore, if I get but a fraction of the price, I shall sell it here in the city of Kashi. Purport. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was selling the transcendental holy name of the Lord, but Kashi was a city of Mayavadis, impersonalists, and such people will never chant the holy names of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Consequently, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was feeling disappointed. How could he teach the Mayavadis the importance of chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra? The attraction for chanting the holy name of the Lord begins absolutely to pure devotees, and there was no possibility of finding pure devotees at Kashi. Consequently, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's commodity was certainly very heavy. The Lord therefore suggested that even though there were no pure devotees in Kashi, if someone was a little inclined to chant the Hare Krishna mantra, he would deliver this big load, although the proper price was not paid. Actually, we experienced this when we came to preach the Hare Krishna movement in the West. When we came to New York in 1965, we never expected that the Hare Krishna Mahamantra would be accepted in this country. Nonetheless, we invited people to our storefront to join in chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, and the Lord's holy name is so attractive that simply by coming to our storefront in New York, fortunate young people became Krishna conscious. Although this mission was started with insignificant capital, it is now going nicely. The spreading of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra in the West has become successful because the young people were not offenders. The youths who joined this movement were not very advanced as far as purity is concerned, nor were they very well educated in Vedic knowledge. But because they were not offenders, they could accept the importance of the Hare Krishna movement. We are now very happy to see that this movement is advancing more and more in Western countries. We therefore conclude that the so-called Malechas and Yavanas of the Western countries are more purified than the offensive Mayavadis or atheistic impersonalists. After saying this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted that Brahman as his devotee. The next morning, rising very early, the Lord started for Mathura. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu started for Mathura, all three devotees started to go with him. But the Lord forbade them to accompany him, and from a distance he asked them to return home. Feeling separation from the Lord, the three used to meet and glorify the qualities of the Lord. Thus they were absorbed in ecstatic love. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then went to Prayag, where he bathed at the confluence of the Ganga and Yamuna. He then visited the temple of Veni Madhava and chanted and danced there in ecstatic love. Purport. The city of Prayag is situated a few miles from the city of Allahabad. The name Prayag is given due to successful sacrifices performed there. It is said, Prakishto Yago Yoga Palam Yasmat. If one performs sacrifices at Prayag, he certainly gets immediately results without difficulty. Prayag is also called Tirtharaj, the king of all places of pilgrimage. This holy place is situated on the confluence of the rivers Ganga and Yamuna. Every year a fair takes place there known as Magha Mela, and every 12 years a Kumbh Mela is also held. In any case, many people come to bathe there every year. During the Magha Mela, people come from the local district generally come, and during Kumbh Mela, people come from all over India to live there and bathe in the Ganges and Yamuna. Whoever goes there immediately feels the place's spiritual influence. A fort located there was constructed by the Emperor Akbar about 500 years ago, and near the fort is a place called Triveni. On the other side of Prayag is an old place known as Bhattistanapura. It is also well known as Jamti. Many saintly people live there, and consequently, it is very attractive from the spiritual point of view. As soon as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw the river Yamuna, he threw himself into it, while Abhadra Bhattacharya hastily caught the Lord and very carefully raised him up again. So we'll stop there and we'll continue tomorrow from text 151. Amazing stuff. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki, Sri Prabhupada ki.